So, good morning, good afternoon, whichever time zone you guys are based in. Thanks for joining for the takeaway talk today and keeping me company as I chat to my computer. So, my topic today, I'll be covering JavaScript as a first language for someone to learn when they're coming into development for the first time. Now, keep in mind that it is opinion based. I'm sure that there is going to be quite a few people that might have their own opinions or maybe recommend it to other people who haven't started their development yet as to which languages they should start up. I personally do believe that in the question, is JavaScript a good language to start off with development? My answer is a definite. I've enjoyed the language so far. I like the almost freedom. It's pretty much you focus on just writing the code. You don't have to immediately know all of the high-end stuff going on behind in the back scenes and all the fancy stuff. So there's many reasons why I do believe this. It's not just because I got told that this was my topic that I should cover for takeaway. There is multiple reasons. I'm going to be sharing some of them with you today, and you can choose to agree with my theories or not. A lot of them are also sort of fact-based that I got from various different sites. But it was an intriguing little lesson just to see what people have to say when I was learning. So first off, I'd like to bring up a little example. Let's say that you're living down in Antarctica. I mean, there's not many people there, and you find a bottle washed up on the shore. Inside is a picture of Hashim Amla smacking a cricket ball. So now you see the means, you see what the goal is, you pick up a stick or whatever you can find there, whatever resources you've got, and you start swatting snowballs and you think, okay, this is going well, I'm pretty good at hitting them. You're only going to be able to learn so much. I mean, penguins and polar bears, they're good company, but they're not going to be able to teach you how to play a game. This little silly reference that I've made is just to enforce the fact that you need a nice environment to learn in as well as a big community. And with most of the websites being made with JavaScript nowadays and north of 16 million developers, there is a relatively large community, and most of the questions that you might have will probably have been answered. You won't invent a problem yet. So my next point I'm going to bring up, which is kind of in reference to the picture you're seeing now, is setting up the environment. In my first day of learning JavaScript, in my first day of learning Java back in a couple of years ago, I remember that the lecturer like completely lost me in 10 minutes after he told me install the IDE and then this and then this and this and this. And I was just like swatted. I was very disheartened off of the very get-go. I was looking over my mate's shoulder to see what they were doing and try and copy it onto my screen. Luckily, we had a better place nowadays. That's always a good sign. But it was quite interesting just to see all of the extra stuff that was going on. And then after all of that stress, when I started learning JavaScript, I actually enjoyed it because it's just like, you almost couldn't believe that you could just write console log on the first line. It was a miracle. So that was one of the aspects. I also enjoyed that JavaScript is a loosely typed language. It's a nice way to start. You don't have to study the book of data types to know what you're trying to do with your data. You can simply just declare something as a var. You might get a couple unfriendly looks, but it's okay because you're just learning at this point. We're not trying to cover all of the fancy stuff yet. It's intriguing. So the next point that I'm going to try and think about is the versatility of JavaScript. So with access to many libraries and frameworks, you've almost got unlimited power provided that you have power at home. This is quite an intriguing thing because there is libraries that can cover aspects from DOM manipulation, machine learning, all the way up until animated 3D. And those were a couple examples I found along the way. I just thought they were very different. There is frameworks that allow you not only to use your JavaScript in the front end, but also in the back end, just on server side, such as Node.js, for example, which is also quite an intriguing little place. I'm enjoying the JavaScript, and I enjoyed the fact when you could write your server-side code with that as well. That was proper. Next up, there's also Angular. That's just to help you make the front look a lot more pretty. You've got access to various materials provided by Angular themselves. It's an enjoyable world. And in short, I would say that JavaScript is object-orientated. It's a functional language, and JavaScript is love. It's an enjoyable place. However, there are some rebuttals that I have configured in my mind against this, such as the learning environment around JavaScript. There is much flexibility, and there are a few fundamentals that you may skip out on. Languages such as Java and C#, where they do explain to you off of the get-go the inheritance and the public and private factors of classes. It's intriguing and will help you refine your skills a bit more. But that was something that I was glad wasn't an instant first fact when I did start with JavaScript and saw that there was a bit more fun to it. I also did come across a couple security problems with JavaScript, such as the JavaScript does get downloaded, deferred, or asynchronously onto a user's computer when they're viewing a web page. This could be frowned upon by many, but a day one developer is not going to worry about that. They're just trying to make something happen on the screen. So I did sort of nullify that point for someone learning to start development. There's also problems such as the cross-browser support, whereby you may have access to some tools on Chrome, but not the same tools on the next process, like Firefox and Mozilla and all. So in summary, I do thoroughly agree with that, the fact that JavaScript is a good place to start learning. But of course, it was opinionated, and everyone else is more than entitled to their own opinions. I hope you enjoyed the slide. If you have any conflicts with what I've said, these are the following links to bring it up with. And thank you.